Welcome back. This is still Breakfast Daily right here on Citi TV. And we've been having a very insightful morning. Lots of emotions, the whole roller coaster going on here. But it's time to get into our nutrition conversation for today and indeed for the week. And don't forget, the show is interactive. You can send us a WhatsApp message. Number is right there on the screen. Or if you'd rather tweet at us or pass a comment on Facebook, we're ready for that as well. Just use the hashtag Breakfast Daily and we will pick it up. So I have here with me, of course, Akusia Kunedu Yadun. She is a state registered nutritionist. And today we're going to be speaking about growth and development in children. Akusia, good morning.
Good morning, Apioka.
How are you?
I'm fine, yourself?
Good, I'm well. So growth and development in children. I mean, nutrition, of course, we've learned from you, is very important in all aspects of our lives. But I think a lot of the time we tend to forget that there's something important when you're talking about the formative stages of a person's life. So let's start. Tell us, how important is it, first of all, and then what are the nitty-gritties when it comes to growth and development in children and nutrition?
Okay, so a mother of two, so I know why the introduction. Yes, it's very important, as much as we can, not to just have babies, but then to make sure we are feeding them like they ought to be fed, and then study how they grow. So growth and development in the sense that sometimes you have mommies complaining that, oh, my child cannot pick food even at age 1. My child is unable to swallow because I expected my child to be swallowing at age 1 a certain way, but it looks like this child, yes, is struggling. So what is the reason? Sometimes you have a need to be worried. There are times you mothers come and you tell them, oh, there is no need to worry because babies are different. I use a nurse, a midwife's daughter at the facility. At 7 months, I eat kosua and meko, and sometimes I have running stomach. But this child will eat it and everything is well with Adina. So I go like, in as much as I can even give birth to that girl, as far as her capacity is concerned, as far as tolerating spices, she is on another level as compared to me. She will eat whatever you give her, she will eat at 7 months. But then you have another child also struggling. And so if you're supposed to peg these children, let's say I have a 7-month-old child like this girl I'm talking about, and I decide to compare their growth and development as far as their pathways are concerned, I may do my child a disservice because my child is naturally sticking to how it's supposed to be, but this child is probably a unique child who is already ahead of where he or she has to be. And so know your child. Once a pediatrician has done assessment and then a nutritionist has probed into the feeding patterns of this child from conception, that is whatever the mother is doing as far as your iron folate stores enhancement or food intake is concerned, and making sure that right after delivery we go in with breastfeeding. Last week was the celebration and we spoke at length about breastfeeding. It's very important that you do all these checks to make sure that the right thing has been done. If after going through the recalls or taking an inventory of everything that has happened from conception until where the child finds him or herself is concerned, then we can conclude and say that, oh, there is a delay as far as certain things are concerned, and we may need to come in with certain professionals like the physiotherapies. For instance, there are mommies whose children are not walking and they are supposed to walk at a certain age, and so at 6 months there are various activities the child is supposed to go through. I will quickly,
before we even get to that, what's the difference between growth and development? Because if you're looking at it in plain English, they're similar. They could even be synonyms, right? But clearly in nutrition, in the world of your world, there's a difference. So what's the difference when we're talking about growth versus development in a child? What's the difference?
Okay, so you can have a child thriving. And so from a physical view, okay, from your point, you are not a medical person, you can clearly see that, oh, this child really looks like a child who is at 3 or age 2. And so for me as a mother, I have a beautiful baby girl, or I have a boy who is clearly having all the physical things you can attribute to a child. But then you bring this child for assessment. We test for the quality of this child as far as the age and everything representing is concerned, and there are deficits. So for growth, you can clearly see that, oh, when it comes to growing, this child is growing. But as far as, yes, as far as certain developmental pathways are concerned, so they work hand in hand. So at 6 months, I know that I have to go in with this. At 6 months, my child is supposed to double in size. Let's say that the birth weight of this child was 3 kg. At 6 months, I know that this child is supposed to have 6 kg because it's supposed to double. As far as growth is concerned, everything is on point. As far as development is concerned, everything is on point. And so this can affect this, that can affect that, depending on what the child is presenting or the assessments being made and the results we are getting from the assessments. And so for the milestones or pathways, 6 months, it's a lot, but we will just touch on some of them. So at 6 weeks, the child begins to push when lying on tummy. So I'm sure I did that because I'm uncomfortable when you put me in a certain position. Even as an adult, I sleep like a baby with my face to the pillow. So at that age, there are certain things that are naturally supposed to happen because this baby, even in your womb, was kicking. And so if you have a child who is just lying down, it means that it's not normal. So you have to be concerned. You bring the child to the facility, have a pediatrician assess. If there is a need for a further, another specialist to go and assess all those things, it will be done. And then 4 months, it runs in that order. And then at 18 months, that's where the problem normally is, because a child is supposed to walk alone. But some of them are struggling.
By 18 months?
Yes. Okay. But some are struggling. There are some babies, 7 months, they bring them for weighing and they're already standing. So no matter what is going on at 18 months, it should happen. If at 18 months your child cannot walk or stand on his or her own, please bring the child to the hospital so that a physiotherapist will go in after a pediatrician has done every assessment. And then if there is a need for a therapy to be done for this child, as soon as possible, it can be done. Because it's very easier to correct certain things, like I always say, before age 2. Yes, so at 24 months too, you stand and tiptoe.
That's 2.
Yes. So you should be able to really stand with your feet really firm on the ground. So that is it. And then at 36 months, you should be doing some pedaling. Yes, so if you have a baby walker, 36, you can't be using the walker, but at least if there is anything for a child to pedal, like the baby bicycles, the child should be able to do it. And at 48, all the way through to 60, there are other things that a child can do. So let's go into the growth charts. So when you go for weighing, and this is for those who go to the private facilities, a lot of them don't check all these things. So make sure the weight of the child is checked. That one can be checked every month. But then when it comes to the length, so when your child is not up to 2, like I said, 18 months, this child should be able to stand. So at 2, the child is able to stand, and so we check height from 2 upwards. Anything below 2 is length, because the baby is supposed to lie down, so that we have a way of, the WHO, UNICEF has a stadiometer or infantometer for us to make sure we use it for these children. Then it has to be checked with every interpretation given to you. Now, if your child is between the -2 + 2 Z-score, it means that you have a child with a normal height. Length, like I said.
Normal length.
A normal length. And where the length is not normal, it can also be as a result of genetics. For instance, if my dad, very tall, a typical Nodna, very tall, and so, but my mom is short, a typical Ashanti woman. And so if my mom and dad, they are short, then if you bring a child like that to me, it's up to me to probe so that I don't do you a disservice, where mom and dad, they are short, but I expect this child to be +3 Z-score. So that interpretation will need to be given to you in weight. And then height is the weight of the child matching with the age of that child. That should also be factored. And then the 4-star diet. Now, as part of growth and development, once my child is 6 months, Apioko, you are ever, you are gone. Whatever you are eating in the house, you should find a way of introducing it to the child. Because we find out that a lot of mommies love to prepare separate concoctions for their babies, and sometimes you ask them, do you taste it? And they go like, for this one I can't taste it. So if you don't want to eat it, do you expect the child to eat it? It's the akple, the banku, the kenke, the food we eat in the house that we are going to introduce to this child. So how do I make it into a baby-friendly food, whereby my child, baby-friendly means that this child is comfortable swallowing or is comfortable with whatever you are giving. My favorite example will be if you are eating fufu and chicken soup. I'll put carrots in there instead of fufu, which is very hard or heavy, or will make the child uncomfortable. I'll put the orange flesh potato fortified naturally with beta carotene, vitamin A for immune system health, and then for reproductive health. So some of the mothers, your babies at 3, their bolo, like you say, or their genital organs is looking as a child at 6 months. You can help this child by making sure you are enhancing on everything, and that will fall under development, because this child is growing, but as far as certain developments are concerned, it's not working. And then know if your child has a condition, especially GCSPD, there are certain things you can't give to your child. If this child has GCSPD, and once your child is born, you can check it. If you have a child and you've not done it, you can go into any hospital, the labs, and request that a GCSPD test is done on your child. And then breast milk evaporation milk. Until your child is 2, don't give evaporation milk because of the digestive system. And I quickly want to talk about fortifiers, the MWAC. Last week we spoke about it, but it's also a check that is done to know if your child is becoming malnourished, moderately malnourished, or you have a healthy child. And the fortifiers, if your child has GCSPD, stay away from soya, but then get fish powder, shrimp powder, granite paste, and even it can be carrots, just to enhance on your child's meals to make sure that you are helping as far as development of this child is concerned. And then finally, I will talk about the MCHRB, that's the Maternal and Child Health Record Book. Now, if you go to a health facility, you are a mother pregnant, or you have a child less than 5 years, if you should find yourself outside this country or anywhere, we will fall on that book as far as records are concerned. And so make sure the right MCHRB is given to you, so that everything I've spoken about will be attended to for you to have a child who is doing well.
Because we're out of time, but I think we've got all the important, wrapped it up nicely with a bow. So the growth and developments in children, I think Akosia has said everything that needs to be said. And just ask questions as well as a parent when you go to your medical facility.
Don't be shy. Don't be scared.
It's your child.
You're paying for it, so they should be able to give you what you want. I'll try to post this on my social media handles.
Please do.
On Instagram at The Nutritionist Akosia, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Nutritionist Akosia, and you can WhatsApp me on 0243 350206.
Please, the number one more time.
0243 350206.
Thank you very much, Akosia.
It's always a pleasure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it for yourself. Get in touch with Akosia if you need any more information. We've been speaking to, of course, Akosia Konedu Yadum. She's a state-registered nutritionist. Now, we'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, there's an interesting conversation that David will have with